My name is Mark Greene. I farm in Cloverland, Washington, which is south of Spokane. And my son and I and family, we farm about 3,800 acres. And our rain zone is 10 to 12 inches annually. And so we installed the Redekop last year prior to harvest. So this is our second year using it. The reason we went to the Redekop system is just to handle our weed pressure. Our weeds in this region are typically China lettuce, Russian thistle, kochia, and sterile brome.
The problem with the cheatgrass is it likes to shatter out before you harvest. They came out with a new variety of weeds that you can spray for cheatgrass. We use that as our problem fields. We'll plant that in just like we do everything else. It's called coaxium, and this coaxium's out of Colorado, and it's made for downy brome. And we have a unique downy brome here that's called sterile brome, resistant to all group 2 herbicides, so nothing works on it.
So the aspect of the Redekop is one of the three tools that we are using to combat weeds. And so we have the Redekop, which is a mechanical process, and herbicides. So we are still using chemicals. I don't envision us not using chemicals. And then our crop rotation is a huge aspect of that too. So we switch modes of action by switching from a cool season to a warm season crop, or a broadleaf to a grass crop. And so those are just some of the aspects that is helping us improve our control, particularly in our case, the grassy weeds. Typically our rotation is winter wheat, then we follow with canola, and then we'll go back to winter wheat, and then also we'll do a spring crop in fields depending on our rainfall. And we typically, we've switched pretty much to growing barley on those years. We have grown green peas, which is very good in our rotation too. So those are our main crops. We work with our Asotin County Wheat Association works closely with WSU and the University of Idaho on their research projects. And actually there was a team from the Washington Wheat Commission that went over to Australia a few years ago, and they kind of explored how different countries were, in this case particularly Australia, was handling their issues with the impact of weeds that were chemical resistant. And this was one of the aspects that came back, that this was one of the alternatives. And it just so happened to the outfit that we bought, North Pine Ag, that we bought our Horsch Anderson drill from, was a distributor of the Redekop. And so I was able to visit with Chuck, and he explained the system to me, and then I did my own research on it, and we felt that it was a great tool to help us with our fight against the sterile brome. As far as putting the Redekop on the combine, we did it ourselves. That was kind of an interesting process, as Redekop has made many models, and so some of the instructions were not adaptable to our combine, which is a 2012 model. And that gave us a little bit of a challenge, but once we got it installed, it took some time. It took longer than they thought it would. But once we got it installed and got it on and got it out in the field, we saw that it was it's a good tool to use. As far as the horsepower requirements of the Redekop, we figure it takes about 50 horsepower to run it, maybe a little more. But it has increased our fuel consumption because the combine is running at a higher capacity. Instead of running 80%, we're running at closer to 100% most of the time when it's thrashing thrashing the crop. Before we got the Redekop, and with our yield monitors, we saw that when we entered a patch of that sterile brome, our yield drop could be as much as 40 bushels. So when you're averaging a 60 or 70 bushel crop, which is probably the average in this area, that makes a big impact, and it doesn't take long to pay for a system that will help combat that. So that was one of the reasons we went ahead and made the jump. Some people are hesitant because the Redekop does cost money, but the residue management of it, the way it chops up the residue, is way better than Case's manufactured original. And we are happy with the way everything is distributed once it goes through the processor and the straw chopper. And so we are pleased with that aspect, and we're planning on seeing results here next year. And I'm excited to see what it can do and just the longevity of it. I feel that it's a great addition to our farm, and if we were to get another combine, I'd be putting it on it too. And so getting the Redekop, that just added a tool to our toolbox that we're hoping to make an impact. And we've used the Redekop for 1 year, so we'll be going back to those fields this fall planting, and I hope to see a reduced population of the sterile brome.